All right, up next is the Align panel. The Align panel is a way to move and change multiple objects and center things and left align, right align, distribute evenly. So that, again, you're not having to work harder. There's no reason, in my opinion, to ever work harder than you need to. And if you can use these different options, how is this going to let you work more efficiently when you're trying to arrange things? So what we're going to do is I have a series of exercises for you, just like we did on the other ones, where you're going to manipulate using the different options on the panel so that you can see kind of what they do. So up first, what we're going to do is first we have to activate the Align panel option. So remember, the same way we get to it as we did the Pathfinder is we're going to go to Window, and I'm going to choose the Align option. And again, I already got mine pulled out, and it's just an option here. So I'm going to drag mine out so that it's visible at all times while I'm working, so everybody can kind of see as I'm moving through things. And I've got the different things circled for you of what I'm looking for you to do. But before you can get started, you cannot align one thing. You must select multiple things. So for each exercise, again, under the layers panel, I have a working layer for you and a locked layer. So you want to make sure that you keep your locked layer locked. And I've got these objects ready to go for you that are in your working layer. So holding down this shift key, I'm going to select each one at a time so you can see what I'm doing. Or I can take my select tool and just drag around those objects. That's a really good one to do if you have a lot of objects and you don't want to sit here and click, 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 click. You can just grab the whole group. So for each of these exercises, what I'm going to ask you to do is just use the button I've indicated on the Align panel, and I just want you to look and see what happens to them, okay? Easy peasy. Now, let's say, however, I want to align everything around this black one. If you notice, I clicked one more time on the black one and it became a darker selection. That is now called the key object. And the Align to now states that it's aligned to the key object rather than, if I off click it, it's just aligned to what's selected. So it's just going to align by default to align what's selected. But let's say I have this black square exactly where I want it and I want everything else to move around it instead. I'm going to select it as the key object and then I'm going to align, and you'll notice that the black square didn't move and the rest of the squares moved to it. So for the next few activities for 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, I want you to practice using a different key object on some and different on others. And I want you to use horizontal right. I want you to try vertical top and all these different options. And I want you to see how it manipulates the 4 squares using the different align options. Okay? Next, let's talk about distribute objects. So this is underneath your Align Objects panel, and this is super convenient. Again, if you don't want to work harder than you need to, you definitely want to embrace the distribute objects. So I'm going to show you what these do, and they're really neat. So I'm going to select these 4 circles that I have here, and if you notice, the spacing between them are not even. And I want them to be even. So I'm going to come up here and use this object called Vertical Distribute Center. And what that's going to do is, rather than not only is it going to keep everything centered, it's going to create the spaces between the 4 circles evenly. Okay, so typically what I would have done is I would have already kind of aligned to center and then I would distribute to center as well. And this way I don't have to sit there and move each circle individually trying to make sure that everything is perfectly spaced out. I can just hit this one button, ready to go, and it evens out all the space between the 4 circles. I want you to do the same thing over here, but this time I want you to use the horizontal, and I want you to see how you can use that option to help you distribute horizontally as opposed to vertically. When I say I use this a lot, I am not kidding. I use this option all the time when I'm trying to evenly distribute letters or text boxes or columns of information or design elements. And again, I am a big believer, work smarter, not harder. All right, now that we've seen all of the different options, what I'd like you to do is now I want you to take these 4 squares and I want you to align them up here, matching my version, but you can only use the align commands to do it. So you can't just grab the pink and start moving it up. So for the blue and the pink, I'm going to grab them. And which one do I need to use to get that blue and the pink aligned? I'm going to set the blue as my key object. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to align to top so that pink one gets moved. And I'm going to keep working around these so that eventually they all line up with my example. Number 2, you're going to select all of these, and I want you to center all of the items horizontally and see what you get. For number 3, I've got very specific directions for you. You're going to select all of these circles, okay? And I want you to align to the left, then I want you to align to the top, but I also want to make sure you select your key object as your big blue circle. So make sure that your blue circle is your key object, so everything should move around. And I want you to kind of look and see what shape you get when you're all done. And then the last exercise on here is I want you to grab all of these objects here. And again, following the directions is we're going to center, we're going to choose to center everything to the artboard this time, which means instead of it being to the selection, it's going to center to the board itself. So when I center something, so if I were to just center just the D key to the artboard, it's going to move it straight into the middle of my artboard, and it doesn't matter what you're trying to center with. And then I want you to tell me what your worksheet says. This one's pretty quick and easy. It shouldn't take you but a couple of minutes to get it figured out. Again, when you're all done, last name, first name, period, and call it the align, and make sure you get it turned in. Again, I want you to think through, how is this going to help you work more efficiently while you're working in Illustrator as you're continuing to grow your Illustrator skills? Okay, that's it, guys. Thanks.